everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming to Imperial Lates Online, which is the latest in our event series for adults exploring research here at Imperial College London. Across this week, we've been exploring a theme with our very own researchers, and this week has been all about relationships. This is our first quiz of 2021. Welcome. The Imperial Lates Online Public Quiz Romance and Relationships Edition. My name is Maeve, and I work in the public engagement team at Imperial, and tonight I will be your quiz master. We're also joined tonight by Imperial researcher Janet, who looks at how sociability in birds can affect their aging, and if being social gives you more benefits. We'll have some more from her later on, so we'll see you later, Janet. But first, I will bring up my slideshow for you. This is my welcome slide. So this is how the quiz is going to work. You will need a pen and paper to write down your answer, or you can write it on your laptop on a Word document if you prefer that. You'll be marking the questions yourselves. Each round is out of 10, and there are 4 rounds. You'll be marking your answers after each round. So we have round 1, which is general knowledge. We have round 2, which is our researcher round hosted by Janet. We have a 10-minute Q&A at the halfway point. So if you have any questions as we go along for Janet, then please do pop them in the chat. Then we have round 3, which is a wild card round. It'll be a mystery till we get there. And after round 3, you will click on a link that we'll post in the chat. You can then submit your scores, so your first 3 rounds, which are out of 10, into a form. And then on the next page of that form, you will put in your answers to the speed round. Now, that is a very quick round. It'll be multiple choice. You have to go through, answer the questions, click submit, and then we put it all into a scoreboard for you. Then we'll crown the winning team. There is no prize, I'm afraid, just glory. So I have some rules just before we start. No correct answers in the chat. This is the main rule. We will be marking each round just after each one, so if you could just be patient, and then we can have a bit of a chat about the answers to the questions after they've been revealed. No cheating, because that's boring. And also it's a general rule for quizzes everywhere and exams. No inappropriate or disruptive use of the chat. We do have a moderator on there, so be warned. No arguing with the quiz master. That's me. My answer is the correct answer, and I have done my research, so hopefully they'll all be right anyway. Get involved is another one of my rules. So after each round, when I do the answers, if you've got any silly things that sort of occurred or you went, oh, I got that really, really wrong, let us know in the chat. We do enjoy to talk to you. Another rule, ask questions to our researcher. If you don't, I'll just ask her all of my questions, but it's much nicer to hear from you. Pick a team name. So on the form, when we finish round 3, you will need to put your team name into the top of the form. That way we know who got which answers. So I believe that is all my rules for this evening. If we have any technical problems, don't panic. One of my colleagues will put this slide up, and that is to encourage you to grab a drink, stay with us, and hopefully we'll be back. If there's any further problems, one of my colleagues will let you know what's going on. Or me, if it's not me that's fallen away. So that is everything. If you have any problems during the quiz, just let us know in the chat. My colleague Emma is there. It's great to see lots of you saying hello. That's great. We've got you all popping up there. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so I hope you've got your pen and paper or your Word document at the ready. We will now start with round 1. Question 1. A study has shown that 2/3 of people tilt their head in what direction when kissing romantically? Is it A, left, B, right, or C, straight ahead? That's question 1. A study has shown that 2/3 of people tilt their head in what direction when kissing romantically? Is it A, to the left, B, to the right, or C, straight ahead? Question 2. In what year was the first on-screen kiss? Was it A, in 1888? Is it B, in 1896? Or C, in 1910? That's question 2. In what year was the first on-screen kiss? Was it A, 1888, B, 1896, or C, 1910? Question 3, for the film buffs out there. What film is this famous kiss from? And just a reminder not to post any answers in the chat, but write them down on your paper or in your Word document so that we can mark them all together at the end of the round. That's question 3. What film is this famous kiss from? Question 4, a bit of a maths one for you here, with some facts involved. The world record for kissing is held by a Thai couple. They kissed for 58 hours and 35 minutes. If a kiss burns 3 calories per minute, how many calories did the Thai couple burn? I'll leave this slide up for a little bit longer than the other questions. So that's question 4. The world record for kissing is held by a Thai couple. They kissed for 58 hours and 35 minutes. If a kiss burns 3 calories per minute, how many calories did the Thai couple burn? I'm also going to give you 2 minutes at the end of the round to finalise any answers, so you might want to come back to this one. Question 5. Who is Madonna leaning in to kiss at the 2003 MTV Music Video Awards? So I've chopped them out of the picture there. Who is Madonna leaning in to kiss at the 2003 MTV Music Awards? Thank you for sharing all your team names, Red Hot Trivia Peppers. Enjoying that one. Team CBA. We've got a bird-related one. Fantastic. Janet will be very happy. Okay, question 6. Romantic gestures have been around for a very long time. Some are grander than others. Which king abdicated the throne so that he could marry Wallace Simpson, his true love? Was it A, Henry V, B, Edward VIII, or C, Henry VI? Oh, nice team name, Zeros to Eros. It's a nice romantically themed name. Question 6. Romantic gestures have been around for a very long time, some grander than others. Which king abdicated the throne so that he could marry Wallace Simpson, his true love? Was it A, Henry V, B. Edward VIII, or C. Henry VI? Question 7. Speaking of over-the-top romantic gestures, how many ships were launched for Helen of Troy? Was it A, 1,000, B, 10,000, or C, 100,000? That's question 7. Speaking of over-the-top romantic gestures, how many ships were launched for Helen of Troy? Is it A, 1,000, B, 10,000, or C, 100,000? Hello to all of these lovely teams sharing their names. The Adventuring Penguins, love it. Tasty too, excellent. Question 8. In cartoons, we often see couples who look so alike they could be related. Who is the son of Kirk and Luann from The Simpsons? Got a nice picture there of Kirk and Luann for you. Question 8. In cartoons, we often see couples who look so alike they could be related. Who is the son of Kirk and Luann from The Simpsons? Question 9 for the musicians. Complete the lyric. Birds do it. Bees do it. Even educated do it. It's question 9. Complete the lyric. Birds do it. Bees do it. Even educated do it. And I'm looking for a one-word answer. And finally, question 10. This clever woman, Whitney Wolfe Herd, began her dating app career at Tinder, but left and founded her own dating app that puts the first move in the hands of women. What is the name of the app? That's question 10, final question of the round. This clever woman, Whitney Wolfe Herd, began her dating app career at Tinder, but left and founded her own dating app that puts the first move in the hands of women. What is the name of the app? I'm now going to give you 2 minutes to finalize your answers. There'll be some nice mood music and a visual for you of a clock so you can see how long you've got left. I will see you in 2 minutes. Hello, that is your time up. We will now be marking our answers. So as I said, no cheating. Let's do it right. This is a romance edition, no cheating. So these are the answers for round 1. Question 1, I asked you, in what direction do 2/3 of people tilt their head in when they kiss romantically? The answer is to the right. I also have some fascinating information about this when I actually get up my fascinating piece of information. My colleague has posted a paper in the chat, which is a study by Bath and Dhaka, Bangladesh University from 2017 that found a right tilt bias, which was from over 2/3 of participants in romantic kissing. However, I would say that it's interesting to note, and there's loads that you can read about it, that the English participants mostly favoured the right, and they read left to right. And the participants from Bangladesh favoured the left. And in Hebrew and Arabic, you read right to left. So I just thought that was quite interesting. It is a good paper to look up, and there's lots of other bits in it about right and left-handed bias, cultural bias. So highly recommend that one. Question 2, I asked you, in what year was the first on-screen kiss? The first film ever was in 1896, so that's B, 1896. So the first film ever made was in 1888, so that was A, but it's not the right answer to this. But the on-screen kiss was in a film creatively named The Kiss. That's B, 1896. Question 3, hopefully you all got this right. I asked you what film this famous kiss was from. It's from Spider-Man. This is probably my favourite Spider-Man movie. I love Tobey Maguire. Kirsten Dunst is very underrated. Question 4. This is a bit of a tricky one. So I wanted to know the amount of calories that the couple may have burned in their 58 hours and 35 minutes if they burned 3 calories a minute. So the correct answer first, and then the workings. So it's 10,545 calories. Not a bad way to spend a few days. And the maths that I've got is this. There's 60 minutes in an hour. So 58 hours is 3,480 minutes, plus the additional 35 minutes that they kissed for. So that's 3,515 minutes. Multiply that by 3 calories a minute, which gives you 10,545 calories. Rock solid math there. 1 point for that, I'm afraid, even though it's quite long-winded, but 1 point for every question. Question 5. Don't know if anyone actually remembers this. Who is Madonna leaning in to kiss at the 2003 MTV Music Video Awards? It is, of course, Britney Spears. What a babe. Madonna had actually also kissed Christina Aguilera, who was also in the picture, but the cameras at MTV were too busy panning over to Justin Timberlake's face just after this moment. So they didn't actually get it properly on camera. Pretty golden reactions. Yes, very good, Jay Fitzgerald. I do hope that Imperial students got the rock solid maths right. Question 6. I asked you which king abdicated the throne so that he could marry Wallace Simpson, his true love. So I remember this from not history, but the King's Speech, where it's got Guy Pearce playing Edward VIII. Look at these cuties. I think that's just extremely romantic that he did that. He became king in January 1936, but then abdicated in December that year so that he could be with Wallace. And if you're interested, the answers to those: Henry V was his dad, and Henry VI was his brother, who then became king after him. Question 7. I asked you how many ships were launched for Helen of Troy. So it's from this well-known figure of speech from Christopher Marlowe's play, The Tragical History of Dr. Faustus. And it is said that she had the face that launched 1,000 ships. So the answer is A, 1,000 ships. This is me saying quite a lot of ships. It's not 1,000, but there we go. Oh, I'm also being told by our lovely moderator that people have said that if it was a couple doing the kissing, so this is back in question 4, it would be doubled because it'd be 2 people. That is absolutely fine. I'm happy with that. So if you doubled the answer, no problem. You're right. Technically, they would have burned those each. Question 8, I asked you, who is the son of Kirk and Luann from The Simpsons? It is Milhouse. Look how alike they all look. I guess that in cartoons, for storytelling purposes, particularly for like younger audiences, they find it easiest to show you that people are married by showing that they look alike. But when I think about this as an adult, it's actually quite creepy. Anyway. Question 9, I asked you to complete the lyric. Birds do it. Bees do it. Even educated fleas do it. This is a song by Cole Porter. It's called Let's Do It. If you like this kind of melody, if you know the song, there's also another song called Let's Do It by Victoria Wood, which is well worth a listen. I'm also being told that the king was George and not Henry. So he's known as both. So I will. Which Henry was it? I'm going to ask my moderator person to just have a little check of that. That's what I found in my research, but he may have been known by a different name. I know they called him Bertie in the King's Speech film. So yes, helpful colleagues in the background, if you can get back to me on that, then we will confirm. And question 10, I asked you the name of the dating app that this lady founded that puts the first move in the hands of women, and it is Bumble. Bumble, which is where women make the first move. So that is all of our answers for round 1, and now we will bring back Janet to lead us through round 2. So welcome back, Janet. Would you like to just do a little introduction yourself, say hello to our lovely audience?
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone, my name's Janet. I'm a PhD student and I like birds. I like studying birds, and I'm currently researching on house sparrows on this lovely place called Lundy Island.
Very nice. So we'll hear a bit more about all of that research later. But we'll crack on with your round. So I will be here watching and enjoying. We're going to let you take control. So take it away, Janet.
Okay, so let's start with question 1. My research is based around social networks for birds. Although this isn't how birds communicate, can you tell me, in what year was the popular social network Twitter launched? A, 2004, B, 2006, C, 2008. So that's question 1. In what year was the popular social network Twitter launched? A, 2004, B, 2006, and C, 2008. Okay, let's move on to question 2. In a slightly serendipitous way, there is a bird in the film Rio that is voiced by an actor who was also in The Social Network. Can you name the actor? Okay, that's question 2. There's a bird in the film Rio that is voiced by an actor who was also in The Social Network. Can you name the actor? Question 3. Speaking of the film The Social Network, what is the tagline for it? A. Problem, the solution, 500 million friends. B. 500 million friends, what more could you want? C. You don't get to 500 million friends without making a few enemies. That's question 3. What is the tagline of the film The Social Network? A. Problem, the solution, 500 million friends. B. 500 million friends, what more could you want? C. You don't get to 500 million friends without making a few enemies.
Just to remind everyone that you will also get 2 minutes at the end of this round to confer and consolidate your answers to your questions.
Okay, question 4. As I mentioned, my research focuses on house sparrows. So the house sparrow is one of the most widespread bird species in the world. What is its conservation status in the UK? A. Red. B. Amber. C. Green. That's question 4. What is the conservation status of the house sparrow in the UK? A. Red. B. Amber. C. Green. Question 5. I have a huge archive of cute baby birds. Which of the following is a baby sparrow?
They're all so cute. Look at them.
They are, absolutely. So again, which of these is a baby sparrow?
These are all your own pictures, aren't they? Janet, you took
Yes,
these.
Yes, I've actually taken all of these.
You're a bird whisperer. Okay, sorry. We will show these pictures again later when we do the answers.
Okay, question 6. When I'm tracking sparrows, I use a system very similar to the Oyster card, although I don't really charge them. So according to the TfL, approximately how much unspent money is there on Oyster cards that hasn't been used for at least 1 year? A. £300,000. B. £3 million. C. £300 million. That's question 6. According to the TfL, approximately how much unspent money is there on Oyster cards that hasn't been used for at least 1 year? A. £300,000. B. £3 million. C. £300 million. Okay, question 7. I focus a lot of my research on the effects of aging. It is thought that if you're surrounded by a community, you will have a healthier, longer life. Where in the world has the highest average life expectancy? A. United Kingdom. B. Hong Kong. C. Bahamas. That's question 7. Where in the world has the highest average life expectancy? A. United Kingdom. B. Hong Kong. Or C. Bahamas. Question 8. Someone who really didn't want to age was Dorian Gray. who wrote the novel The Picture of Dorian Gray? Again, that's question 8. Who wrote the novel The Picture of Dorian Gray?
It's actually quite a good novel to read. It's quite short, so if you've ever read it, it's good.
It's a classic, isn't it? Question 9. Is this statement true or false? Some birds can learn how to do something by watching other birds on a video. So that's question 9. Is this statement true or false? Some birds can learn how to do something by watching other birds on a video. Final question, question 10. A big discussion among some scientists is about how we measure sociality. In 1991, sociologist Scott Fels described a phenomenon later known as the friendship paradox. What is this paradox? A, that most people have more friends than their friends have, or B, that most people have less friends than their friends have. So that's question 10. In 1991, sociologist Scott Fels described a phenomenon later known as the friendship paradox. What is this paradox? A, that most people have more friends than their friends have, or B, that people have less friends than their friends have.
Okay, so that's all of the questions from Janet. We're now going to disappear, let you concentrate for 2 minutes while you confirm your answers amongst yourselves. See you in 2. Okay, everybody, time is up. Now we're going to mark your answers. Remember, it's 1 point for each correct answer. And Janet is the authority, so listen to Janet.
Okay, so let's go through the answers. So in question 1, I asked, in which year was the popular social network Twitter launched? And the answer is B. That's 2006. And specifically, I think it's July 2006.
Yeah, a bit of trivia there is that Facebook was launched 2 years earlier than that. So that was in 2004 was Facebook. For your next pub quiz, when the question is about Facebook. So do you want to tell us a bit about your research to do with that? So it's social networks for birds. Are any of the social networks that you do anything similar to what we use as humans in social networks?
Yeah, I tend to think of them as similar. So the concepts of using social networks on animals are actually quite new. I think they're actually adapted like several decades ago recently. And so in a way, I'm trying to get some sort of specific numbers that is comparable to what you get on like Facebook analytics. So like which birds like to hang out with each other, or how often do birds interact with each other. And we can actually look into quite a bit of stuff with these kind of numbers.
You basically got a friend list for each bird. Who's their favorite?
Exactly. And we also, oh yeah, we know about like how we want to know about like how often they hang out, or like who they like to hang out with, basically.
That's so cute. In that way, you're ahead of Facebook, which is probably a good thing.
No. Okay, so question 2, I asked which voice actor voiced the bird in the film Rio, which who also appeared in The Social Network, and the name of the actor is Jesse Eisenberg.
Those films were actually released in the same year. And Jesse has been said to really enjoy doing Rio because it was light relief from his quite surly character in The Social Network.
Yeah, that was actually quite surprising to me as well, because to be honest, I have not watched The Social Network, but I did enjoy the film Rio a lot because it's got birds in it.
Did you ever study parrots? It's macaws in Rio.
Yes.
Is that right? Is that the same as parrots, or is that different?
Yeah, so in the film Rio, the main character is called Blue, and he's a Spex's macaw. And I think the species unfortunately went extinct in the wild like quite a bit of time ago. But basically, yeah, so macaws are also parrots, and parrots is kind of like this umbrella term that includes all of the parrots, the parakeets, cockatoos. And yeah, I studied a little bit of about cockatoos before I started my work on sparrows. And specifically, I look at their vocalizations, and they make these really interesting vocalizations called contact calls, which basically they use to like communicate with each other. Well, basically exchanging messages like, where are you? Or here I am. And one very cool thing about these contact calls is that each of these birds has a slightly different contact call, and the birds are able to tell who is who by listening to these calls. So they're able to say, well, you sound like you are from my group.
Very good. They're so clever.
That's quite cool. Okay, question 3. I asked, what is the tagline of the film The Social Network? And the answer is C. You don't get to 5 million friends without making a few enemies.
Do you think that that would be the same for birds? Do you think they make enemies as they make millions of friends?
So. I think it's totally possible, because social relationships, they can be positive, they can be negative. And if you have a lot of friends, it can also mean that you also get into fights quite often. And in the wild, it's really not a good thing to get into too many fights.
Yes, and if anyone's got any questions related to any of Janet's research or things that she is very well knowledgeable in, we will be having a chat with her just after this round finishes. So write them in the chat and we can pass them on.
Okay, question 4. In the question, I asked, what is the conservation status of house sparrow in the UK? And the answer is A, red. So that's the most severe conservation status that we have.
So sad. I wouldn't have thought that at all for like house sparrows. It sounds, I don't really know anything about birds, but house, when you put the word house in it, it makes it sound like there's just loads of them around and they're really like domestic and there's loads of them. But so that's just not true at all.
Yeah, so the reason that they got red listed was because the population size of house sparrows in the UK has been sort of gradually declining over the past 100 years or so. But yeah, you still get, I think, about, well, at least a couple millions of them in the UK. So it's so they're still there.
Okay, good.
Okay, question 5. Which of these is a baby sparrow? And the answer is D.
Aww.
Yes, so if you're interested in knowing about the other birds, so in the first picture, A is a blue tit, B is a great tit, and C is a reed warbler.
I've never heard of a reed warbler.
There are, well, they mainly occurs, as the name suggests, in reed beds. So it's not something that you can see in your garden most of the time.
Right. Okay. Yes, and just to remind everyone, Janet took these photos, so she is the bird whisperer. If you want to ask her anything about these.
Okay, question 6. In this question, I asked approximately how much unspent money is there on Oyster carts that hasn't been used for at least 1 year? And the answer is C, 300 million pounds.
It's insane. So we found this figure, didn't we, Janet, on a TfL report, that the figure that they gave was 321 million. So this is the closest, which apparently happened when people started to use their contactless bank cards and their phone apps instead of using Oyster cards around 5 years ago. So there just suddenly was just loads of money unspent. But yes, I think it's really interesting in your when you're studying the house sparrows that you use a system that you described to me that's a little bit like an Oyster card. How does that work?
Yeah, exactly. So we used something called RFID, which is a technology that is used in Oyster card. And basically, it's every bird, we fit them with a tiny tag, which is basically like their own mini Oyster card. And when the bird lands on a reader or passes through a reader, the reader reads it, and then you are able to tell, okay, so and so appeared at this location at this date and time. So then we can further go on and say, well, these birds like to hang out with each other all the time, so maybe they have some sort of social associations with each other. That's how we do it.
It's really clever. Does it make a little beep sound when they land on it? Like beep. You know, like when you do your Oyster card.
Yeah, so we also have these like handheld readers that you can actively like read the birds, and then it emits like a little beep when it reads something.
So cute.
Okay, then question 7, I asked, where in the world has the highest average life expectancy? And the answer is B, Hong Kong, with an average life expectancy of about 85 years.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so the UK, so the other options that we had there, the UK is number 29 on the list. with an average life expectancy of 81. So live 4 years longer if you move to Hong Kong. I know it doesn't work like that. And the other option in the answers was the Bahamas. And I was surprised that it's number 100 with an average life expectancy of 74. And I would have thought it'd be way higher in the Bahamas, or any of the countries that are, sunny, maybe a bit more relaxed. And like you've mentioned here, that you're looking at the effects of aging and being surrounded by a community. So does that mean that Hong Kong has a really nice community feel to it? Because you're from Hong Kong, aren't you, Janet?
Yeah, so with aging, I kind of think of it as like an income versus expense thing. So basically, if you eat well and if you don't overwork or you don't stress yourself a lot, then your body is going to go through a lot less wear and tear. And that's why you probably are going to age a bit more slowly. So if you live in a community, then you get all the support, you get help from each other, and so that's probably going to lighten up your workload. And that's one way that sociality might help with slowing down aging. And then again, also in wild animals, they also it's also possible that if you're living in a social group, you get like more information of where the food is, or you get to run away from predators more easily. So there's some kind of benefits in there.
Okay, nice. Oh, I think you've frozen a little bit, Janet.
So in question 8.
There you are.
Oh, yes. Sorry, a little bit laggy in here, but
It's okay. You're back. We got you.
now, I think. Awesome. So in question 8, I asked who wrote the novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray. And the answer is Oscar Wilde.
So do you think, Janet, that there's any other way that we measure aging besides how Dorian Gray viewed it, which is just by his appearance? So, I know you're looking at that a lot in your research. So how would you measure aging?
Yeah, so there are a couple ways. Like in humans, aging is rather obvious in terms of appearance, like you get wrinkles or you get graying hair, but in animals it's often a bit hard to tell just from appearance alone. So one very intuitive way to look at it is to use lifespan, or life expectancy. And then there are also researchers who looks at the decline in reproduction. So as you age, the bird is probably gonna lay fewer eggs. And another tool that I am focusing on is DNA signals, basically. So there are this tiny bits of DNA that shortens if you age and if you also undergo a particularly stressful event. So I can just look at all of these bits of DNA and say, okay, this guy is probably aging faster than the other bird there.
Very good.
Okay, so in question 9, I asked whether this statement is true or false. And it's actually true that some birds can learn how to do something by just watching other birds on a video.
That's amazing. It's so clever.
Yeah, so it's actually something that a lot of researchers tested on, especially on during behavioral tests. So, for example, like one way they try to do it is to film videos of birds eating gross foods and acting very disgusted. And then they show these videos to a bunch of other birds. And these birds, just by looking at the video, are able to avoid the food in question. So it's kind of like one way to study how information is transferred between animals, apart from like vocalizations that we mentioned before.
Brilliant. Video learning, YouTube for birds.
Yeah, exactly. That's like watching a tutorial. Okay, so final question, question 10. I asked, what is the friendship paradox? And the answer is B, that most people have less friends than their friends have. So it's actually quite interesting, this one.
Yeah, I suppose that's why I think it's a paradox. People probably think it's the other thing. Yes.
Exactly. So people tend to think that like themselves have more friends than their friends, but it's actually the opposite. So the sociologists Gutfeld actually found that on average, your friends do have more friends than you. And this is simply because you are just more likely to have friends who are super sociable, who also have a lot of friends themselves, but you just don't see it because you only know what is happening inside your social circle. So yeah, so unless you look at it with a social network, you won't really know.
That is like, it's a little bit mind bending, and I'm glad that you've explained it because I couldn't quite get my head around it. Okay, so everyone, that is our 10 questions from Janet. So mark yourself out of 10, keep track of that. And now it is time for our Q&A. So we're going to spend the next around 10 minutes on this. If you've got any questions for Janet, please post them in the chat. While you're having a little think about that, Janet has 2 little videos for you to see. They're just 10 seconds. Some actual birds ready to be seen. So you've called this feeder dominance. Janet, what's happening here?
Yes. So the title is pretty self-explanatory. So in here, we're recording a feeding station, and you get the food bowl in the center, and you can see a lot of sparrows fighting in the middle for the food. And we recorded these videos to look at sparrow fights, and we used these records to sort of look at their social dominance. So basically, who is higher up on the social ladder.
And then we've got another one that you wanted to show called parental care. So what are we seeing here?
Yes, so this is a video of a nest box, and we set them around the island, and sparrows use them to breed in the summer. And so there is this black rectangular thing that you see in the middle in the door, and that's one of our RFID readers. So when the bird comes in or goes out of the nest box, it registers who came in and when. And so we use this kind of RFID information along with the videos to look at who was using these nest boxes and who the parents of this nest is, and also how often the mom and the dad spend time taking care of the chicks inside that nest box.
Oh, so this is the sort of Oyster card system?
Yes,
What's
exactly.
happening there?
So
Very good.
if I remember correctly, I think there are 3 chicks inside that nest box when that video was taken.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this so it's just us. And we have had a few questions from our audience, Janet. So, one that's come up quite a bit after hearing the horrifying fact that it's red alert for house sparrows. What should or could we be doing to help house sparrows?
Yeah, so I think so we don't exactly have an answer of why the population size has been going down, but a lot of studies think there's something to do with like the changes in agricultural practices. So I think the easiest way that you can do in your house is just to create a nice environment for them to stay and to get food. So they really like bushes. and they really like a lot of like hiding places, and they also breed in holes, basically. So they are what we call cavity nesters. So when they breed, they like to find these little holes. And so actually buildings or houses are quite an important breeding places for them in the summer.
Oh, really? Cavity, what did you say? Cavity breeders? Nesters?
Yes, cavity nesters.
Cavity nesters. That's so weird. Okay, so houses are fine and bushes are good.
Yes. And
Yeah.
also they like feed. I like to set up bird feeders during the winter for them as well.
Yeah. What do they eat? Is that a stupid
So they
question?
are seed eaters. So they eat basically grains and seeds and things like that. Don't feed them bread because it's not
No,
really good for them. But other than that,
no bread. That's a good shout.
mm,
Another question that we've got. This is from Caribouffle. What's the bird with the busiest social life?
mm, I think there are a lot of birds to choose from on this
Mm.
list. So obviously parrots that we talked about, they like to flock in very large flocks, and also crows are pretty social, and also seabirds as well. Yeah, and I don't really have a number of who has the largest flock, but
Yes,
each
but
of these
maybe
different things.
yeah, maybe an easier question would be what bird is the least social? Because I think birds are very, they all go around in flocks. But are there birds who are quite solitary? Like, I don't know, vultures like that? That's just
Yeah,
my
so I
perception of
know
vultures.
I know that some raptors are rather solitary, but I think also at some point in life, like especially when they are still just leaving the nest for the first time, they do like to still hang out with each other quite a lot.
Hmm. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. A question from Payal. How long do the chicks stay with their parents before they fly the nest?
This is actually quite good. So in sparrows, they mainly takes them about 2 weeks or so to go from a nestling that is just hatched from the egg to be able to fully fledge and leave the nest. But after they leave the nest box, like after they fledge, they actually like to hang around, and then sometimes they go back into the nest box, and the parents still take care of them even when they're not in the nest box anymore.
Oh, how long would parents take care of the chicks for, even if they didn't need to?
Well, I don't really have an answer for that, but I know that it could take quite some time.
Yeah. So the kids hanging on to the parents. I mean, I know that I'm at home at the moment. I blame the lockdown, though. I definitely know how to take care of myself. Oh, Janet, I've had quite a few people asking if you could explain this friendship paradox again. I know that you had to explain it to me a couple of times. So could you could you go through that in a little bit of detail, please,
Yeah,
if you could?
so the friendship paradox is that we always think that we have more friends than our friends, but it's actually the opposite. So on average, so when you just look at all of the social circles of your friends, on average, they will have more links with other people that you probably would or would not know. And this is sort of like a sampling bias where basically more sociable people are going to have more friends themselves, right? So you are more likely to have super sociable people in your friend group. Does that make sense? So
Mm.
if you have more sociable people in your friend group, then of course your friends would have more ties that you might or might not know. but you won't be able to see it without looking at the whole social network.
That's true. And you probably don't really have a concept, like a really accurate concept of how many friends your friends have, because, so say I'm hanging out with a group of my friends, maybe there's 6 of us, and I go, oh, okay, so I'm one of their main friends. And then I've got loads of other friends, but I'm one of their main friends. But actually, they're social enough to be friends with me. So they might have lots and lots of other friendship groups that I don't think about because I'm thinking about my own friendship circle. Is that sort of, it's a paradox in sort of a sociology sense. It's that I think something that is, it's actually the opposite.
The other way, yes.
There we go. Cool. So we could chat to you for a very long time, but I do have to finish the rounds to the quiz, because that's what I have to do. But Janet, you have kindly offered to continue to answer people's questions that are in the chat, which will be funneled through the Imperial College icon. So Emma has been moderating tonight. You've been seeing her in the chat. Janet is going to join in now in the background while I carry on with the quiz. So you can keep asking those questions, and there's some more in there that I didn't get a chance to ask you just now, but please go and continue to ask those questions. And thank you for being so interested in Janet's work. And thank you, Janet, for sharing all of your expertise. So we'll see you just at the very end of the quiz to say bye. But for now, off you pop into the chat. I'll see you later. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, everybody, it's back to business. So we now have the wild card round coming up. So were you expecting this? Sibling or dating? So this is in round 1, I briefly mentioned this sort of cartoon couples, often showing that they look alike. They're so alike that they could be related. There is an Instagram account called Sibling or Dating, and it asks people to identify pictures that have been submitted by the public, and it's of 2 people, and they have to say, are they siblings or are they dating? And I present this challenge to you. We had a very interesting Reddit chat yesterday with some researchers from Imperial, one of which does study facial characteristics in terms of your mate choice. So I will get my colleague to post a link to that in the chat. It's a really interesting discussion. So those are researchers on sexual selection and mate choice. One of the researchers does sort of animals and organisms and just sort of more mathematical modeling. But Tom, who's one of the researchers, does, he studies humans and looks a lot about do we pick people who look like us? It's a very interesting chat. But for now, sibling or dating. So it's 10 questions. I just want to know, sibling or dating? Question 1, sibling or dating? Okay, number 2, sibling or dating? Okay, number 3 now. I know they're a bit further away, but sibling or dating? Okay, ready for the 4th one? Sibling or dating? And just to clarify, this Instagram account, the pictures are sent in by the couple. So they send in a picture, and then they will send a second picture, and it will write on it whether they're sibling or dating. I haven't just searched for my friends and just put them on a public quiz. Okay, number 5. Sibling or dating? Next one. Sibling or dating? Next one. Number 7. Sibling or dating? Number 8 coming up now. Sibling or dating? Next one, question 9. Sibling or dating? And last one, number 10. Sibling or dating? Okay, I'm going to give you another 2 minutes. I know that I'm not showing you the pictures again. So for your 2 minutes, you might just want to refresh yourself, get a drink, get your game faces on for the speed round, which will be happening after I give the answers to this. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Hi everyone, I bet you are sick of the 2-minute music. Luckily that's the last time you're going to have to hear it. So maybe I'll keep the same music for the next quiz, or maybe I'll change it. So here are our answers. Question 1, what did we think? I can tell you that these two are dating. I think all the couples got a bit of a kick of sending it, these in and seeing what people thought. So they are dating. Number 2, these two are siblings. Third one. I was quite shocked by this one. They are siblings. I think it's I don't know if I would. Well, I probably wouldn't wear a bikini in a photo because I'm too nervous. I mean, they look cracking, but these guys are siblings. Okay, number 4. These two are dating. I thought that was interesting because they do have quite similar facial characteristics. So that would be one that I would ask to my Reddit researchers, because I think there is quite a lot of similarities there. Yes, it's a difficult round, Kate Cameron, I'm sorry. I just found it so fascinating on Instagram. But maybe you'll get about half. Law of averages. Okay, number 5. These two they're technically married, so dating. Dating. Okay. Pair number 6. These two are dating. Number 7. These two are siblings. I think I can see that in their eyes, actually, that they're got kind of quite cool, piercing eyes. Okay. Number 8. These two are dating. Very handsome couple. Okay. Pair number 9. They're siblings. So sibling for number 9. And finally, number 10. Dating. These two are very sweet. When I was researching this sort of idea of that people choose a mate that is that looks similar to them, there's a case study on a couple, or an article on a couple who said that they got asked so much if they were brother and sister that they actually got themselves a DNA test to make sure that they weren't in some way related, and they weren't, but it's kind of interesting. Brutal. Well, maybe the rest of the quiz been too easy. 3. Well, you've probably all done about the same. 3, 3, 1. Sorry, Piotr. Sorry. Right. Well, it's time to bring it back, everyone, for the speed round. And the reason you're bringing it back is because each answer is worth 2 points. So, first thing to do, total up your scores from each round. So you've been keeping a bit of a track. Each one is out of 10. A link is going in the chat. You need to click on that link. Put your team name in at the top of the form. And then we need you to put in the number that you got out of 10 for each round. So round 1, round 2, round 3. And then click go to the next page and then I will read the questions to the speed round, and you're going to answer from there. So you can throw your pen and paper away once you've submitted your scores in this form. So I'll just give you a moment to find that link. My colleague Emma will be posting that in the chat. Stick your scores in there. This will allow us to add it up and put it into a nice scoreboard for you at the end. So while you're doing that, I'll explain how the speed round works. So this is the speed round. Every answer that you get right is worth 2 points. So it's time to bring it back after that scathingly brutal third round. I will read each question only once. Once and only once. And then when it's gone, it's gone. After I've read all 10 questions, you will have 10 seconds to press the submit button, after which it will be closed and you will get 0 points. So make sure that you submit within those 10 seconds. The first team to submit their answers will get 2 bonus points. And the second team to submit their answers will get 1 bonus point. And we have a timestamp that comes through on our form, so we'll be able to see. So that is how the speed round is going to work. I'm going to pause for 15 seconds to allow you to sort out that form if you haven't, because I need your full concentration for the speed round. So I will wait until you are ready. I'll give you 15 seconds. I'm going to count in my head. Okay, everybody, here we go. Every moment counts. Question 1. I hope you've been looking at boxes of chocolates for Valentine's Day. What is the flavor of this quality street? Is it A, a fudge? Is it B, strawberry delight? Or is it C, milk choc block? Question 2. Which of these animals does not mate for life? Is it A, a beaver? B, a black vulture? Or C, a walrus? Question 3. Which of these is considered bad luck on your wedding day? Is it A, finding a spider on your wedding dress? Is it B, crying? Or is it C, seeing a nun? Question 4. Complete the famous opening line. 2 households, both alike in A, destiny, B, dignity, or C, frigidity. Question 5. Which of these is another word for a sex cell? Is it A, gamete, B, Golgi apparatus, or C, alveolus? Question 6. Which Bond villain survived a murder attempt because his heart was on the right-hand side of his chest? A, Mr. Big, B, Dr. No, or C, Professor Bang? Question 7. Which dating app is this the logo for? Is it A, Match, B, Hinge, or C, Happen? Question 8. Which was the first country to legalize same-sex marriage? Is it A, Norway, B, the Netherlands, or C, Ireland? Question 9. Which of these terms refers to a woman in a marriage with several men? Is it A, polygamy, B, polygamy, or C, polyandry? And finally, question 10. How many grande lattes from Starbucks would a condom need to hold in order to pass the burst test? Is it A, 7 lattes, B, 27 lattes, or C, 47 lattes? You don't have 10 seconds. Go, 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 go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time is up, everyone. Great job. We got through this together. I hope you've submitted those answers. I don't want anyone to be scoring 0 points in that round. So while my lovely colleague is totting all those answers up in the background, I will give you the answers and any interesting trivia that I found along with them. I hope you enjoyed the speed of that round. So question 1, I asked you the flavour of this quality street. Now, I don't personally like quality streets, but I thought this would be quite a good question because some of them look a bit similar. So this is a fudge. And I can sense that people might say, no, that's the strawberry one, but it's not, because this is the strawberry one. That's the strawberry one. And that is the milk chocolate one. So that first one is a fudge. Well done if you got that right. Question 2, I want to know which of these animals does not mate for life. So 2 of them, like they just pick a pair and then they stick together. And one of them just sleeps around. And it is the walrus. The walrus loves many mates. Interesting fact I found while researching this is that only 5% of mammals are monogamous. And 90% of birds are monogamous. So Janet can probably confirm that, but that's what I found when I was researching things. So birds love to be together. Question 3. I want to know which of these are considered bad luck on your wedding day. So 2 of these are good luck and 1 of them is bad luck. So I can tell you that it is considered bad luck to see a nun on your wedding day. So to go through the other ones, to find a spider on your wedding dress, according to English lore, this is a good omen. And for crying, it's considered good luck because it symbolizes that the bride has shed all her tears and will not have any to shed during her marriage. But with this nun situation, a bride who sees a nun or a monk on her way to the wedding is said to be cursed with a barren life dependent on charity. Some of these crazy theories. Question 4, I want you to complete the famous opening line. 2 households, both alike in B, dignity. Definitely not frigidity. This is the opening line to Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Hope you all got that right. Question 5, I want to know which of these is another word for a sex cell. The answer is a gamete. So a Golgi apparatus is a cell that stores and modifies proteins for specific functions. If there's any scientists out there, I'm really sorry if that's a very, very basic description, or that's what I have found when I've been researching it. And alveolus are air sacs in your lungs. So gamete, definitely 100% the right answer there. Question 6, I want to know which Bond villain survived a murder attempt because when he was stabbed in the heart, it was wrong because his heart was on the other side of the chest. So this is Dr. No. Apparently one of the best dressed Bond villains, according to, popular opinion. So he had something that is actually a medical term called situs inversus. So this is when your organs develop on the other side of the body and they function completely normally. This is an X-ray of a living human with situs inversus. Who knew? Question 7, I wanted to know which app this logo was for. So this is for Happen. Happen. I think that's the one where it's like got a tracking. Maybe these guys should have done track and trace. They, if you walk past someone, they let you know later. You walk past someone who likes you in your area. Question 8. I want to know which was the first country to legalize same-sex marriage. So all of these countries have legalized it now, which is great. But the country that legalized it first was the Netherlands. So they were the very first one. So on the 21st of December in 2000, Queen Beatrix signed it into a law, and then it came into effect on the 1st of April 2001. So Norway, if we look at the other one, so Norway from 1993 allowed gay couples to enter into civil unions, but it wasn't until 2008 that Norway passed a gender-neutral marriage law. And Ireland is interesting because they were the first country to legalize gay marriage by a popular vote. Only 29 countries at the moment allow same-sex couples to marry. And well done to Costa Rica, who's the latest country to pass the legislation, which was in May last year. Question 9. I want to know which one of these terms, that all sound very similar, referred to a woman in a marriage with several men. So we often hear sort of man with many wives in certain religions, but not the other way around. So I found this quite interesting. So it's C, polyandry. So polygyny is many women, so it's marriage of a man with several women. Polygamy is the state of marriage to many spouses, that's more general. And C, the correct answer, polyandry, is a woman who takes 2 or more husbands at the same time. Polyandry is illegal pretty much everywhere, even though polygyny is legal in 58 sovereign states. Sexist. And finally, I asked you, how many grande lattes from Starbucks would a condom need to hold in order to pass the burst test? So the burst test is where you fill a condom full of a certain volume of fluid, and it has to not burst. And then it passes the test and it's all good to go. So the correct answer here is 47 lattes. So according to the World Health Organization, it says you need 22 liters to be put into a condom for it to not burst. So there's 470 mils in a Starbucks grande latte, and I divided that into 22,000 mils from there. So that is all of our answers. I'm going to check in with our lovely team in the background to see how we're getting on with the scoreboard. And if not, we can just bring Janet back to talk about birds for a little bit longer. So we'll wait for the final scores. And in the meantime, I'm going to bring Janet back. So, hi, Janet. How are you getting on? You've been chatting to some people in the chat there. Any good questions? I haven't been looking at it because I've been looking at this camera, but how's it going?
Oh, all of them are really lovely and they're really nice questions.
I'm gonna have a look at them now. Oh, did someone ask you about your favorite bird?
Yes, exactly.
And what is your favorite bird?
It's probably gonna be the blue-tit because I've worked on them a little bit before I started working on house sparrows. And they're just very, very full of energy. And goldfinches are also nice, and they're really chatty birds. But for some reason, I don't get to see them a lot.
Are they quite rare? No?
Not really, but they like to go in big flocks. They like to stay like on top of trees, from my experience.
Right, okay. Suppose you can't really see them on tops of trees. Oh, we've got our scoreboard out there ready. So let's see who we've got. So, oh my goodness, look at all the teams that we had. 43 teams. Okay. So is this our... what have we got? Is this our first place? Oh no, this is the bottom. Round 16 points. That's not a thing. It's out of 10. So that's from the Finnish lovers. We got the Adventuring Penguins, Dashima Adventuring Penguins, the Ziomes, Les Brunettes, Serial Matchmakers, the Old Fockers, Adventuring Penguins. We've got lots of penguins. We Screamin', CBA, Lovebirds, 19 Crimes, Bad Kitty, MDW, small XDLB. Does that mean anything? Is that a science thing? Love Hearts, Babby Sparrows, the Adventuring again. Is that's like is that in the news or something? Or I'm not sure. Serial Matchmakers, again, Romantic Roops, Red Hot Trivia Peppers, classic team name. Overqualified, underperforming. Great job. Chelsea Cupids, the Quizicists, classic. Again, Love Bugs, Branch Covidians, team. Lovebirds accidentally submitted. Oh, okay, thanks. Zeros to Eros. Eros, I quite like that one. Pinky and the Brain, love it. Looney Tunes. Oh, these two kind of related. CIV. That again, an acronym for something that I don't know. Adventuring Penguins back again. Wandering Windmills. The Cheese Monkeys. Golden Sunshine. We're getting to the top now. Lynch Mob. Cam Poo. Corvid-19. We're getting to the top 4 now. Emotionally Unavailable. Congratulations. In third place, We're Not Cheaters with 40 points. Second place, We Are Not a Cat with 41, but in clear winning with Zivy Belarus with 46 points. Congratulations. You are the champion of the quiz. Well done. Yay. I can't believe how many teams you had taking part. That's really incredible. And well done for getting your answer sheets in so quickly. So everyone, that brings us, we're a little bit over time, but that brings us to the end of the quiz tonight. So thank you for coming. I hope that was, at least as good for you as it was for us. We had a great time. Our next Imperial Lates Online will be around the sun, and there will be a quiz for that, but you need to check out the details at imperial.ac.uk/what's on. Or you can follow us on Twitter at Imperial Spark. So you can have a look, and that'll be next month. We'd also really appreciate you telling us what you thought of tonight's quiz. So there's a link that's going to pop up in the chat any second now. So if you've got a couple of minutes, that would be really, really helpful so we can improve things, and it is for you, the audience. So I'd like to say thank you very, very much to Janet. You've been amazing tonight. Thank you for all your lovely questions, and especially your cute pictures of birds. And thank you all to the audience for coming. Hope to see you next time. So share what you've learned from the quiz, laugh about what you didn't know. Thank you and goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.